Do you ever wonder what happened to your friends from high school? I mean, you were so close. You laughed together, you cried together, you shared some of the best years of your lives together. And yet, somehow through life, you just lost touch. Now it's time to relive those moments once again. Introducing the podcast that takes you back in time to the place where it all began. This is Class Reunion. We're bringing you all the gossip, secrets, and scandals from your high school days that you won't want to miss. Join us as we catch up with old classmates and dive into the wildest stories from our high school days. From those legendary parties to the infamous cliques, we're spilling all the tea on who's who and what really went down. So grab a seat, turn your volume up, and get ready for a trip down memory lane. Class Reunion, the podcast that reunites us all. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Class Reunion. I have somebody that I have known since childhood. We're going to talk about some funny, actually elementary school memories, but I also want to share about his talent towards the end. And stay tuned because we're going to have a giveaway, but you have to listen to the full podcast to be able to know what that is and how to receive it. So welcome, Kevin Scheer.
Thank you for having me and excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
If everybody remembers Kevin, we were talking about like how everybody looks. And like, indeed, he just still has this megawatt smile. So you're not even going to notice a difference. It is 2023, but you know, he looks exactly the same. So lucky you. It's probably all that bike riding that you enjoy doing.
Yeah. Bike riding, tennis, you name it. Yeah.
Yes. You are in your studio. So we're going to get to your talent of pottery. I have this displayed because I am a customer. And I've had much more than this, which we'll talk about, but I only have two pieces that I'm trying to hold on to for dear life because I give away the rest of it. We were reminiscing. So I always talk, I've said this 4,000 times, so I keep repeating myself, but the best conversations are the ones that we have just to kind of connect, right? And we were talking about Evergreen Elementary and your memory with Mr. Broughton. So, and if you go back and listen to some of the people that I interviewed from Evergreen, they all have Mr. Broughton stories.
Yeah,
it's amazing. He was an interesting teacher. So I never laughed so hard. So share that story if you don't mind.
Okay. So Mr. Broughton class, I think it was 5th grade if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Yeah, it was.
And I remember it had to be the first day of class. He was going over the roster and calling out the kids' names. And he came to me and he said, "Oh, Kevin Scheer. You know what? I had your older brother and your older sister in my class, and I've heard about you, Kevin." and I was like, "What the hell?" Right? And then he just kind of went on to the other kids, and that was that. Yeah. So just I've heard about you. That's not a good way of starting out a relationship with a teacher. So then a week or so later, I wasn't paying attention in class. I was feeling goofy, a little bit of a troublemaker. Mm-hmm. His back was to the class. He was up at the chalkboard. He was writing something on the chalkboard. There was a paper map, pulled down next to him. Right. One of those little maps. And I'm in my my chair. And then for whatever reason, I decided I had a pencil. I said, I'm just going to throw my pencil. So I took my pencil and I just chucked it up at the front. And the thing went through the air and it stuck right into the map. And all of a sudden, Mr. Broughton stopped talking. There was a long pause. He didn't turn around at all. And then he just goes, "Mr. Scheer, I would like to see you at the end of class." And I'm like, how did you know it was me? It's like there a mirror. How the hell did he know it was so anyway, I got in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, he had no tolerance for, that was not a good thing, but he had zero tolerance for anyone's behavior in that classroom.
I think I had to write on the chalkboard. I think that's what my punishment was like during recess.
Yeah.
I will not throw pencils in class or something like that. And I had to write it 100 times or 500 times. Because it was 3-section. You're exactly right. Because it was a 3-section chalkboard. And I remember people having to do that. Right.
You were part of that group.
Yeah.
Well, he was playing chess in recess with the classmates. You're probably up on the chalkboard.
Yeah. So that's one of my Evergreen Elementary School stories.
And you know what's weird? 2 things. You talked about the pulling down of the map, which never happens in class anymore.
Yeah.
And then you have one behind you. I grew up with that globe that was on a pedestal that you turned.
Yeah.
It was all bumpy to like have the, mountains and stuff. I wish we held on to that stuff because it's already so different. Countries are different. Lines are different. Like the world has changed so much that the 70s globes are obsolete.
Right.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, that is weird. Yeah, that would be cool to have a lot. I bet there are collectors out there that collect those things.
Yes. Did you have one at home like I did, like I described?
Yeah, we had a globe with little bumps on it.
Yeah.
The Andes mountains.
Yes.
Or you could feel them. And,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Same
we had
thing.
one of those. Super cheap.
Yeah.
Super, super cheap.
But probably worth millions now. But I just reminded me, in the map behind you, I was like, boy, it's so different now. And still changing as people want to work on their ownership of land. So junior high, is that when you also carried on the soccer and you just kind of were in that?
Yeah, I think I got more serious into soccer in junior high. I did start playing, I think in 3rd or 4th grade. I remember my, soccer wasn't as popular certainly as it is now. And I remember my mom used to drive me to Southfield Civic Center and different places where we played. But I got into it more seriously in middle school and then high school. Yeah.
Kevin, I did the same thing. I played in Southfield for a really long time. And I always joke, I don't know if you've told this to your kids, but we played when nobody cared and there wasn't snack day. And the parents dropped you off. I mean, maybe your family watched you all the time, but we were left and picked up. Like soccer is so big now and sports with kids are so big now. I think we had water my 4th year of playing. One of the Dowd brothers was my coach. I forget his first name. And he had that McDonald's orange cooler that you could fill up with water. Yeah. I thought I died and gone to heaven just because we could actually have water because there was nothing in those fields in Southfield.
Yeah, you had to bring your own water and
which we didn't have Stanley cups or bottled water at that time.
Expensive, fancy water bottles.
No. Right. I still remember my dad saying, whoever invented bottled water, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I'm like,
yeah. No, I now that we're talking about that, I kind of remember, I don't know, you would just drink water out of whatever you had. It could be an old milk carton.
Oh, sure.
You rinsed it out and put hose water in there.
Yeah. Exactly. Good old hose water.
Yeah. Quality hose water.
Which, how we're all still alive, I don't know.
Yeah.
But the hose was awesome. And
totally.
there's I'm going off topic, but there's a meme going around with this guy's like, why wasn't Gen X, why did they drink out of the hose? And it was like, because you were out and you didn't go back in the house because you were either going to get assigned a chore or you're dragging in dirt and the mom doesn't want to see you yet. And, it's like, wait till dinner. Like we were banished. So if you were thirsty, you hit the hose.
Yeah. There were times that my mother I was sent outside, and this isn't like a negative thing about my mother. It was about me. Like she didn't want me in the house.
Right.
And I think she actually locked me outside.
She was every mother. She was every mother.
Like go play for 3 or 4 hours and I'll see you later.
Because they were cooking laundry.
I need to vacuum.
Yes, exactly. And God, you don't want to have kids running around.
No.
Yeah. Which is funny because I didn't do that. But
if you're thirsty, drink out of the hose.
If you need help, go to the neighbor. I mean,
Dinner's at 6 p.m.
Right.
Get the hell out of here.
Right. Okay, so Groves, and I hope you join us for the reunion. It'll be fun to see.
I definitely hope to.
Okay. Yes. I know it'd be a travel for you, but you enjoyed it. It wasn't where you blossomed into your art studio there, but what was the impact of Groves and did you have a good time? Like if you had to compare junior high to high school, not everybody, I mean, everyone's being really honest on this podcast. They're like, wasn't really a fan of high school, Yeah. I liked high school. Okay.
You when we did our pre-interview talk,
right?
We were talking a little bit about that. I think we were bringing up like social anxieties and insecurities and things like that.
Mine.
Well, just the topic, and not yours. But I think more of my insecurities and social anxieties or being self-conscious, all that. I think more of that happened in middle school. For me, those are more my memories. I was feeling a little more nervous, just, who I was as a person, more at Berkshire Berkshire Middle School.
Yeah. And there's a lot of body maturity that's happening at that time. And boys' voices are changing or not changing. Like, I don't know. I remember that period of time when certain kids, you could tell the boy's voice was changing. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
A little crack.
So a little crack, and you go away for the summer and you come back. And some people are a foot taller. And,
Look like they could be seniors in high school.
Yeah, they need to shave.
Right.
Yeah. So, but high school, my memories are very fond of high school. I feel like I had a lot of different friends in different areas.
Yeah.
I was very involved in my soccer. I think my soccer friends, I had a lot of, I felt at home there. I felt safe and secure.
Mm-hmm. And that was a tight-knit group, I will say. I remember you all hanging out together.
Yeah, it was a tight-knit group.
Yeah.
And I had my older sister and older brother, Sandy and Doug.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I knew a lot of their friends already.
Me too.
So when we went to Groves High School and we came in as 10th graders, the seniors and the juniors, I knew not a lot of them, but, a good number of them I had already met. So
which changed my influence on music. And because we also talked about you going to the Who concert and things like that. I mean, our grade liked the Who, but I feel like anyone who had older siblings, for me at least, it did come down to me of like ELO and some really different, Carole King. Like I had a whole plethora of music that was much more 70s and 80s because I listened to them with my siblings all the time.
Yeah. And that may be true to a certain extent with me, with my older siblings. Like their music may have been a little bit different from my music. I do remember the Who concert I went to, which I think was my very first concert. And I went to it.
That's a big one if it's your first.
I'm pretty sure it was. And I went to it with my brother and some of his friends. Mm-hmm. And I even remember leaving. My mom was, talking to my brother. Hey, you got to kind of watch out and take care of Kevin. You're going to the Pontiac Silverdome. It's going to be madness.
Right.
And it was madness, and it was a blast. And I think I got a black T-shirt, overpriced T-shirt. But it was a ton of fun.
And that was right after, which also is interesting with our generation of like, bad things happen, but didn't necessarily stop our parents. The Who concert before Pontiac Silverdome, there had been a stampede to the stage, and there were several deaths, I think, like 2 or 3 people died.
Yeah.
And so they weren't sure if they were even going to have it at the Silverdome. And it's just funny because, everyone went, but this tragedy had occurred prior to, and here's the parents just being like, look out for one another.
Yeah. Well, that was... That speaks also to the whole Gen X thing.
Yes.
We were locked out of our houses. We drank from hoses. There were these tragedies that happened at the concert the previous week or month. And it's like, well, be safe.
Right.
Hope you don't get stampeded. Yeah.
But get a T-shirt on the way out.
Yeah, but get an overpriced T-shirt.
Oh, funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. You have a fun Melissa story, and then we'll get to like all the fun stuff that you've been doing with your adult life.
Well, I didn't tell you the Melissa story.
No, that's why I can't wait.
I'm not sure if you're going to want to edit this out. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you the Melissa story.
Okay.
So Melissa Manhart. So she dated Chris Bomarito for a year or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And they broke up, and Chris was mad at Melissa, and he had a silver Camaro. Oh. And he went over to her house and he like did donuts in their yard, in their driveway.
Oh my God.
And like he just kind of spun around and ripped up the lawn a little bit.
Yeah.
And I found out
that's good.
Like years later, I don't know, maybe it was at the 20th high school reunion I found out. I can't remember where I found out. Yeah. But I found out years later, Melissa told me that Chris always blamed that on me. Like I was the one that went to Melissa's house.
Oh, that's a good. I'm not editing that out.
No.
Why would you be so mad at her to do that? That's funny.
Like I was, my allegiance was with Chris.
Oh, as a friend.
And I was mad as a friend, and I was mad at Melissa.
Okay.
For whatever happened.
Oh my gosh. That's hilarious. Although I'm sorry that you were blamed for it, but very funny.
Yeah. So I found out, and I was like, no, that wasn't me. I had nothing to do with that. So like somebody was mad at me for years and years and years, and I had no idea.
And your friend threw you under the bus. Let's say that. Yeah.
That's as I understand it.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one.
But I feel like if Chris Bomarito, if you're out there, I don't mean to throw you under the bus.
Right. But it's a good little love story that went bad, and we all went through those breakups.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry for the interruption, but I need to say, attention all alumni. Are you ready to relive the glory days and reunite with your classmates? Look no further than myevent.com, the ultimate destination for planning unforgettable class reunions. With myevent.com, you're in control. Upload photos, upload event details, and connect with your classmates. Spread the word on social media and watch the excitement grow. myevent.com brings your past, present, and future together in one unforgettable event. Start planning your class reunion now. myevent.com. Your reunion, your way. All right, let's get back to the show.
Okay, so you went to college, and we'll just kind of go to graduation because I don't want to take up too much of your time. So you went to college, went to Michigan State.
Yeah.
And then you moved out of state.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so go through that.
So went to Michigan State, loved it, fantastic, amazing. Big advocate of MSU. And then my first job out of college was with Dow Chemical. It was a sales job, and it was a very, very good job, good company. I did well, but I was there just for 4 years, and I left after 4 years. I realized it just wasn't me. I mean, it was a very corporate job. I had, I was in sales. I had a briefcase. I wore a suit and tie, and I worked out of the New York office for 2 years, and then they promoted me and moved me to San Francisco. That's how I made my way to San Francisco, and I worked in the San Francisco office for 2 years. That was that. 4 years of my life. After that, I then started with a small art publishing company, and I eventually became the general manager of the business, and I ran it for 13 years. And that was a much better fit for me. It was in the art world. It was a smaller business. If you wanted to get something done, I would meet with the owner, and we would make a decision, and we would just do it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like
not a lot of layers. Yeah.
Not a lot of layers, not a lot of people to make it. You wanted to do something, you did it. You made the decision. So I did that for 13 years. I then left. I had another job for a year. It wasn't a good fit. I left that job. But then I was about to take another job, which we talked about in our little pre-interview.
Yep.
I was about to take another job running a business in San Francisco. And my wife, who was a stay-at-home mom, we have 2 kids, she has a background in human resources. And she was looking at jobs because she was helping me with my job search. And then she stumbled on a local job in HR, just happened to stumble on it. And she's reading it. She's like, oh my God, Kevin, this is my dream job. This is my dream job. I want this job. And I always joked about being a stay-at-home dad. So one thing led to another. We decided that she should go interview. She interviewed and got a job offer. I had this killer job offer in San Francisco, again, running a small family business. And all of a sudden we were faced with both having really nice job offers. And we were thinking for a period of time, oh gosh, maybe we should both work and then just have like a nanny for our kids type of thing after school. But when we got together and got married and decided to have a family, we knew we always wanted somebody to be at home with the kids. Long story short, we did a lot of soul searching, and then we decided my wife would go back to work full time, and then I would start working part time. And I was able to do this with the art publishing company that I managed, which was like a real part time job, like a serious professional part time job. So I was able to do that. And then I always wanted to get back into my pottery, which I started back in high school. I always wanted to get back into my pottery more seriously. So we decided to flip flop. My wife went back to work full time. I stopped working, and then I was working part time, started my pottery business. and did the Mr. Mom stuff also with the kids. And, I picked them up after school and became the primary caretaker, the food and cooking and, managing all the household stuff.
So let's pause there for a minute, because this is where I think Gen X gets underrated a little bit. I feel like we were the first to want to get into that entrepreneurial mindset, but we were raised so traditionally. Mm-hmm. So if we can go back to Dow, when we all graduated from college, most of us, it was doctor, lawyer, engineer, sales, marketing. Like there were pretty much basic titles that everybody seemed to fall into when they graduated. And our parents loved that for us, right? That stability of corporate life was what they had. And we're proud to say, my son works at Dow. Here you were in high school taking classes and being creative with pottery and taking that side of the brain and, enjoying it. And I feel like we did flip a switch with the Gen X generation where suddenly those roles could be reversed. Part-time was now starting to become an option, which kudos to you for it being such a corporate part-time job. And it, I think, freaked our parents out a little bit. I shouldn't speak for your family, but I know every time I wanted to do something creative or say something outside of the box, it was like, whoa, you're going to do that? Did you get that type of feedback at all?
I'll probably say I got that a little bit more from both of my parents were enormously supportive.
Okay.
My father, super supportive. He's like, that's really neat.
Oh.
You wouldn't think that. Yeah, but my father was like, go for it. If you want to work part-time and build a small pottery business, and your wife can go back to work full time if she wants to do that.
Yeah.
And you can be with basically my wife was with our kids the first 10 years or so of their life, and I was with my kids are now 22 and 24, but I was with them the latter half,
which is
of their
really
life.
Cool. Yeah.
So super neat for our children to experience that. My mom also supportive, but for her it was like you were alluding to, a little less conventional. Mm-hmm. How's that going to work?
Right.
Are you guys going to be okay financially?
Right.
But it's worked out really well.
Oh, it sure has. And we're going to talk about how successful, but I just think we Gen X get it's an underrated thing where we really push the boundaries. We had to learn new technology. We had to adapt to change at the speed of light. And we didn't mind starting to take risks and change the way we wanted to design our future. And I feel like we give that accolade so much to Gen X and Gen Z, like, oh, they don't like tradition. We were really pushing those back in the day ourselves. It just didn't get recognized, or we didn't talk about it as much. Because I do think there were stay-at-home dads, and I do think those roles were reversed, but now it's so common to say it. I don't know that we celebrated the fact that we did things the way we wanted to do them in our 30s.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's right, what you're saying. And
I love our generation, which is why
I love our generation too. And we just did it. I don't think there was any, I don't think we were taught to do it or told to do it.
No, that's the thing. We just did it. Yes.
Yeah, it wasn't right. It wasn't wrong. It was
right.
You're just in charge. And
we did it, and we didn't have to ask Google how to do it. We just did it. So let's talk about the success of the pottery business, because going to not knowing or having those outlets to do that, you really just started to work at it and talk about how that you knew it was now going to be something successful that you wanted to pursue as a career and start.
Yeah. So it started out very much because when I did stop working full time, it's not like I stopped working. I then just started working part time. Okay. So it was significant because I worked a lot when I worked full time, and I worked an absurd amount of weekends and hours. And I worked more than any human being should work in their life. Yeah. In the 13 years I managed the small business. Mm-hmm. And I just basically went from working way too much to working 15 hours a week, which was so perfect. So the pottery part was I thought, okay, I'll work part-time with the art publishing business that I mentioned, and I'll do pottery on the side. I've always wanted to get back into my pottery. The very first pottery class I had was at Groves High School, which was wonderful. And I just loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I've always looked at my pottery as, it's like personal therapy. It's my own creative, safe place where I can, just chill out and do my thing and make pieces that I hope people have in their homes and they get to use. And making handmade pottery is a really neat connection between you as the maker and then somebody having it and using it. Last night, I got a photo from a friend of mine that commissioned me to make a set of udon bowls. And she took a photo of my pottery with the udon in it. And it's just like, it was so beautiful. Like, it's such a neat connection for me to make pieces that people then use like in their everyday lives. And it's a neat thing for me. So, but going back to answering your question, the pottery started out just as a hobby. Pure and simple as a hobby. There was no intention of like selling it or making it a business. But when you make pottery, it needs to go someplace.
Right.
It just builds up after a while. So I did start selling it here and there, and I was doing well, and everything I was making, I was selling. So I got more motivated to make more, to sell more. And one thing led to another. Now I'm doing, a handful of shows every year, and I have a lot of commissions.
Which is the highest form of accolade you could get when somebody says, I would love for you to make this for, I can't imagine how that feels.
I'm so grateful. I have friends that say I need pasta bowls, or I need a garlic cellar, or, can you make this for me? Or I want to give away colanders for Christmas this year. Can I commission you to make a dozen colanders? Or, so I have a whole lot of that happening. And it seems to be when you're a craftsperson or an artist and you're selling your work, there's this incredible balance between, retaining your craft and your art and your love and your passion and all the whole reason you went into it. And then there's the business side of it, of selling it and the marketing and the merchandising and all that stuff. But you're always struggling between, doing it for yourself and then doing it, to sell it.
Yeah.
And I've had a lot of people that have asked me to make things for them, and I've said no.
I would imagine. Because it becomes mass producing in a way.
I just don't want to. Like the joy's not there. It takes it takes the magic out of it. And sometimes you have people that will ask for a commission. I'm like, sure, I'll do that. And maybe like a large bowl, which is normally $250. I'll say it's $350 or $400. And then they're like, oh, sure, I'll take it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. I was jacking up the price so you wouldn't take it. So sometimes that happens.
But talk about the joy of what you make and having the recognition of people asking for you to commission. I do want you to share the award behind you, the ribbon, because I'm impressed by that. And I think it's like so cool because these things aren't what you went into it for, but you just keep building on this.
I should have made my head.
No, I'm so glad.
Like this.
It's
right there.
When you told me what it was, and then the other award after that, I think it's very cool. So I love to share and brag on people. So
well, thank you. You're sweet. So there's a group on the West Coast called ACGA, Association of Clay and Glass Artists, and it's a prestigious group. It's basically all the top people in the clay and glass community on the West Coast. And it's mostly like professors and teachers and very, very well-known, like internationally known artists. And I decided to apply to it to become a member this past year and a half ago. And I had a very large body of work, and I decided, hey, I'll apply and I'll submit, photographs of my work. And I got in, and I was just delighted, over the moon, just happy getting in. I mean, it's a huge thing to be recognized in the ACGA community. So that was nice for me. And then they have an annual show every year in Palo Alto. It's an outdoor, just like arts and craft festival type outdoor type show exclusively clay and glass artists. So I decided, I'll do that show as well. So I exhibited this past summer. And the award is, it was a People's Choice Award. I got voted #1 People's Choice Award from them.
See? That's awesome. It has to be acknowledged. That's great.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Leanne. I didn't.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with your, like I mentioned, I have these bowls back here, but I think, was it 10 years ago? I guess the date isn't important, but and you are giving away one of your clues there. I love it. I think about 10 years, maybe not, but I moved to Florida, and that's when I first started to get on Facebook. And it was a great way for me to kind of keep in touch with people because I had moved out of Michigan. And you had slowly started to, I don't know when you created your pottery page on Facebook, but.
Oh, and it may have been around, I think, because I left the corporate world in 2008.
Okay, so that's when I came down here. So
15 years ago.
Yeah. So I had been watching and looking, and I said, God, that's really nice, really nice. And then I just reached out to her. I couldn't stand it anymore. Subliminal marketing, right? And I was like, I need some of those bowls. And they were blue, and I don't know if it was the holidays were coming up. I knew my intent was to give them away. So I ordered, and that's how it wasn't fully how we reconnected, but it was like when we started to talk about, to each other. I was like, Kevin, gorgeous stuff. I bought the bowls, and then I held on to them for a little bit because I was like, I can't give these away, but I did. And then I had some red vases. I gave those away. I mean, this is all I have left, but I've been a fan for a long time. And it's really cool that your talent brought me back to you in that way. And so just want to say thank you. That was really, really neat way for us to get back in touch.
Well, I'm grateful for that. So thank you.
Yes. So as you look forward to the kids getting older and, the second half of the journey of having a good time with you and your wife and your kids, you're in California, so I don't know where you would envision ever going. It's a beautiful area that you live in. But do you ever talk about that? Like where you might want to retire, or do you love where you live, or maybe not even retire at all?
Yeah. I feel like I'm retired right now.
Yeah, because you're doing what you love.
Because I'm doing what I love.
Yeah.
And, if I won the lotto tomorrow, I'd still do this.
Okay.
We have a great house, and
yeah,
I go hiking and mountain biking all the time. And
yes.
I play tennis 12 months out of the year.
I know. That's what I was saying. Where would you go?
It's pretty nice. I love California. Challenge with California, though, there's a handful of challenges, and the number one probably being just the cost of living is insane. Mm-hmm. It's just crazy. So, my wife and I have talked about, gosh, do we want to stay here? Do we want to go to? We've talked about Oregon. We've talked about Washington. We've talked about Idaho. We have a lot of friends here. We have a big community here. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's.
But those ideas make sense hard to at least explore, because it is getting crazy. And everyone flocks to Florida because they think it's a tax-free state, versus California. That's why a lot of people are coming. But it's not all what it's cracked up to be either. And now that we know, after COVID, especially, we got the influx of New Yorkers and everybody coming when they started to do remote work and coming here full time. Yeah. Florida caught on. And so now we're expensive. There's, the rent's expensive. The cost of living is expensive. Insurance.
And we went 2 or 3 months ago. We went to Bend, Oregon, with the thoughts of buying a property, renting it out.
Super popular now.
And then, but Bend, Oregon, it's almost like the window of opportunity to buy there was 10 years ago.
Yes.
It's still a whole lot cheaper than where I'm at now, and I'm just north of San Francisco, which is one of the more expensive parts of the Bay Area. Yeah. But yeah, it's hard. It's hard to figure out where you want to go.
I know.
And I love the fresh produce and the food, and
that's why you look the same that you did when you were young. You're just healthy environment, my friend. I love it.
I have a surprise. I almost forgot.
Oh.
Here, well, give me a second. I wanted to, you can still hear me. I still have my high school. I still have my high school.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Kevin, that's awesome.
I know. This morning I thought, oh my God, I need to take this out of my closet.
I love it.
Yeah.
That is fantastic.
Yeah, like what it says, say soccer.
Grove Soccer. No, I remember. That was like such a cool thing when people got their jackets, I mean, it really, as maybe Grease as that sounds, like the movie Grease, getting a letter jacket was a big deal, and the class ring.
Yeah.
I've debated for a long time whether to get it because those weren't cheap either. Remember how expensive those rings were back in the day?
Yeah, they were.
Oh, Kevin.
Yeah. So there's my jacket.
I'm really sorry for all of you that are streaming this in audio only because it's a classic. So you're going to have to go on YouTube and see what Kevin just pulled up. That is, well, first of all, it fits. And you look great in it. And I can't believe you still have it. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's funny.
Oh, see, that was very cool. Thank you for that. I love that.
Yeah. You're welcome. Yeah, I'm so glad I saved it. I mean, now I've saved it for 39 years. So
Yeah.
But this morning, my daughter, I went out for coffee with my daughter, and she's like, Dad, I want that jacket. And I'm like,
aww.
You can have it. You can have my jacket.
That's really sweet.
Yeah, it's fun.
Okay, well, you just did two things at the end here. You demonstrated the giveaway, and you used the word that I was going to have people put in the comments. So Kevin has generously agreed to give away a coffee mug that he has created. And so that was clue number one. So you used it right in the beginning when we started and you just drank out of it. I don't know what design you're going to pick, but that's what we agreed to do. And coffee is going to be the word. So whoever puts coffee first in the comment section, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, I'll look at all the social media. A lot of people respond on YouTube. We'll see who the first person is that uses the word coffee, and then we'll get their address and you can mail that out. So
that's good. That's fun. Definitely.
Yeah, isn't that fun?
Yeah.
So you were walking right into it without even me telling you. So
and they can pick a color, and I can make a stein or a little cup or whatever they want. Yeah, I'll make a custom handmade piece for them.
Oh my gosh, you're the best. That's so sweet. So I encourage you to do it, guys. It's really great stuff. And like I said, I only have 2 pieces that I'm holding on to left, and I'll probably have to order some more, but they are beautiful gifts and people love it when they get something handmade. He's right. There's a connection in that. So Kevin Scheer, I appreciate you being on, and I'm glad I've known you since elementary school. What a thrill to be able to connect this many years later.
Yeah, super, super fun. Well, thank you so much, Leanne.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it all. Thanks so much.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right, friends, that's it for this episode of Class Reunion Podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the show, write us a review, and share this podcast with a friend. Until next time.